What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, if you follow my channel or have been following channels like mine for the better part of a year and a half, you'll know that industry insiders have been in almost nonstop talking about the amount of discord that's going on behind the scenes and at Marvel Studios. And it's not just one thing. It's not just the VFX workers or the burnout, the issues with Jonathan Majors, the Marvels tracking way below the box office, Disney Plus shows being over budget and underwhelming. It's basically been everything, and this coming from multiple sources that are always re-reported via podcast, etc. Well, today is much different. In an extremely lengthy and scathing article coming from Variety, sources from within Marvel Studios talk about everything that's been going on, and man, there is so much in here that we're going to be doing several videos over the next couple of days to cover it all. One of the most interesting points in the entire article, after it enumerates the multiple problems over at Marvel Studios, is their supposed and apparent plan to resurrect key Avengers from the OG crew like Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man for, quote, a future Avengers film. And what at one point seemed like the farthest fetched fan fiction is now squarely on the table and in play for Avengers Secret Wars. We're breaking it all down, this new plan by Marvel to resurrect Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and others for the upcoming Avengers 6. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. We're actually giving away 2 in back-to-back days next week. So again, if you want to be entered to win, super simple, just be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, stick around at the end of the video, we get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so again, just for quick context, this is actually coming in a lengthy published article from Variety, one of the most trusted Hollywood industry insider editorials, and not just some anonymous post to 4chan. Also, this is in speaking directly with sources at Marvel Studios. The article is rather lengthy, and we will have more coverage coming to the channel, but towards the end of the article, this is what they go on to report, quote, with Bob Iger publicly acknowledging the downside of a Marvel TV glut that, quote, diluted focus and attention, the keepers of the comic book empire are considering some dramatic moves. Sources say that there have been talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. This would include reviving Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, both of whom were killed off in Avengers Endgame. That shouldn't be a stumbling block though. In the comics, beloved characters are often killed off only to be resurrected thanks to the power of things like the multiverse. But the studio hasn't yet committed to the idea. If it were able to bring those actors back though, it wouldn't come cheap. Sources say Downey Jr.'s upfront salary for Iron Man 3 was around $25 million. Now, admittedly, every single time we cover this, I feel like I sort of have to cover all of the caveats that go in line with this. I know a lot of people have been wondering if Tony Stark wouldn't show back up as AI, but as I've said in the past, you don't pay Robert Downey Jr. money simply to be a hologram, or even worse, just a voiceover in somebody's helmet. It's just way too much money, way too much actor to sink into an AI role. It also seems a little incongruent to bring these characters back in for another Avengers film when both Black Widow and Tony Stark made huge sacrifices for what they needed to accomplish during Avengers Endgame, only to see them show up again in a half-decade later in the next Avengers film. But conversely, when you are dealing with the multiverse, as this article mentions, and the fact that they are bringing back tons of Fox X-Men characters that have also died on screen, like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine or Sir Patrick Stewart's Professor X, it doesn't seem, well, that far-fetched. If you can do it for their timelines, alternate dimensions, and those characters, you can certainly do it for characters from your own MCU. And while I will say on one hand, it would feel a little cheap, on the other hand, it would feel a little weird to have all of the best, or quote, prime characters from all of these timelines assembled into one huge Avengers squad for Avengers Secret Wars, and then not have some of the OG Avengers there alongside of them for that battle. I can see both sides of it, although there are going to be those who are going to call Marvel Studios desperate for wanting to bring these characters back. And then there's, of course, the problem of money, where Marvel Studios is said to be scaling back the productions. We're going to talk about that in some other videos. Some of the budgets that are coming up for Marvel movies are going to look extremely low compared to others. This is part of them trying to recalibrate what Marvel Studios is doing, and for that happening in Avengers Secret Wars, well, when you start paying actors $25 million and up. For something like Robert Downey Jr., it would be even more. When someone like Christian Bale gets $20 million alone just to be Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder, you can imagine Robert Downey Jr.'s is going to be astronomical. Then think about how many legacy actors they need and in the room and all in one time. Sir Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, Tobey Maguire, all of these actors coming back again on a soundstage for a portal scene, and whatever that'll look like in Avengers Secret Wars is going to cost so much money just on the casting alone. Then again, if they're shelling out all this cash in the first place, having those two in the room would make a lot of sense. What this article is attacking, though, is that this seems to be a game plan in reaction to the fact that Marvel Studios' brand has taken a nosedive. And as they mentioned earlier in the video, when last year's September retreat came around, where all the top execs and creators were planning out the next 10 years of Marvel Studios, where the feeling in the room should have been what they called, quote, downright cocky, instead everybody was a little panicked. And I hope that they understand that this will not save them alone. Just bringing back Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, or Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, or Chris Evans' Captain America, and I think he's not mentioned in this article because technically and with plausible deniability he's still alive in the MCU while these two characters died on screen, will not save Marvel Studios. I am a diehard fan who will be here buying tickets for every film and enjoying them in spite of their flaws, but if they want to correct the course for what's going on right now with their fandom, it starts intrinsically with one story after another, making sense, not breaking verisimilitude, and of course leading into a cohesive Avengers story, something that Bob Iger seems to understand and said he did when he came back on the scene. Just dropping Robert Downey Jr. or Scarlett Johansson or even Chris Evans with their characters, either from the multiverse in a different variant or from our 616, into the middle of a broken MCU and thinking that that will revive interest, that won't do anything but to sour basically the original legacy of those characters. And direct quotes from Chris Evans has said that's exactly what he's not willing to do. So for Marvel Studios, where this wouldn't have been a cheap proposition in the first place, that's why the article makes sure to mention if they can get these actors back, where you have to imagine for someone like Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, and even Chris Evans, when they quote unquote stuck the landing, they might not want to go back to this at all and give it a chance to make whatever legacy they had in people's minds, fans' hearts, and in these movies sort of less than by joining an MCU that they see has faltered off. That being said, the article concludes by saying, the key to reinvigorating Marvel may lie with the superhero arsenal that Disney acquired during its 2019 purchase of 21st Century Fox. The deal brought several blue-chip heroes such as the X-Men and Fantastic Four back under the studio's control. Already fans are geeking out about next year's Deadpool 3, which unites Ryan Reynolds' Merc with the Mouth of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and a reboot of the Fantastic Four slated for 2025. As a bonus, Fox additions give Kevin Feige an opportunity to reimagine the X-Men franchise, the very property he cut his teeth on as a young executive at Lauren Schuler Donner's production company. Now that the WGA strike is in the rearview mirror, Marvel has started talking to writers about bringing the X-Men into the MCU fold. While Feige recalibrates, the rest of the industry is anxiously hoping that Marvel's best days are not behind it. Quote, writing the Marvel obituary would be ill-advised, says Jason Squire, professor emeritus at USC School of Cinematic Arts and host of the Movie Business podcast. Quote, Kevin Feige is the Babe Ruth of movie executives, and Marvel has the most profitable track record in movie history, no question. And in my very honest and humble opinion, only as one of the people who've been covering the MCU and sometimes twice a day since the days of Infinity War, the reason they were able to have that extremely profitable track record was Marvel Studios somehow found a way to execute what fans like me and you want to see out of the publishing characters and on the silver screen. Look, the animated shows back in the 90s like X-Men, Spider-Man, they weren't working with half the tools, any of the CGI, any of the cast, or the complex material that the MCU has to draw from now, and still they were able to do it because intrinsically and at its core, there are things we like about Marvel superheroes, and if they can just nail the story and keep the story true to serving that fandom, then it doesn't get too complicated. Then you can make any choices you want on the outside. The problem is when something like Thor 4 Love and Thunder, or pick any of the other shows that you want that have not performed as well in the fandom or critically, when all of these outside choices are being made, but the story itself isn't serving the character in the way that we want to see. So ultimately, you end up at the end of a She-Hulk show not being able to root for She-Hulk because while they built out all this other stuff and had a Daredevil cameo and whatnot, they never actually focused on her arc or her hero's journey or her overcoming anything. So those precious moments from the MCU Chris Evans, Steve Rogers during Winter Soldier, the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, all the times we rooted for Tony Stark, we followed him on that transformation, his overcoming. We were able to root for him, be in his shoes in those moments of triumph and really feel it. And for a studio that was able to nail that feeling and rinse and repeat for so many years, I just can't understand how they lost their way. Because again, projects like She-Hulk, even the most recent Secret Invasion, there was just nothing there to root for when we got to the crucial moments. I guarantee you, had you handed me the chance to write Secret Invasion, I would have given you a show that would have been half the budget and would have absolutely slammed with both the critics and the fans, and I think about this every day. But that's probably not going to happen, and it's for the best, because again, I have absolutely zero credits or publishing in Hollywood anywhere. I am a published author, but not there, and Marvel Studios should be hiring experienced people so that the stories don't suffer at the hands of amateurs like I would be if I tried to write one of these. Still, Marvel, if someone like me who is an amateur can say, hey, I would have done a much better job with this story, then you have to ask yourself, what are we even doing these movies for in the first place? And it starts with the people that have writing the scripts. That being said, it sounds like there are some things changing. We're going to talk about that in some future videos this weekend and based on some other details in this article. Now, to save this video from turning into 20 minutes, guys, let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, sorry I went on a little bit of a rant at the end of this video, but you guys know the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the thing that outside my family and my music career that I am most passionate about on the earth. And so while other YouTubers and or content creators are quick to just make content out of bashing the MCU, I'm quite the opposite. I am still Team Marvel. I'm still a fan of the MCU, and I'm just, as someone on their team, hoping they desperately get it right. Let me know all your thoughts down below. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, we are still giving away PlayStation 5s at the channel, and in fact, next week, we've got back-to-back giveaways with Loki and the Marvels. Super simple to be entered to win. All you got to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IronFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, under the name Allfires. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.